This is Volvo's XC40, and it is the pointiest tip of the spear of transformation that has run through the company's product lineup. It all started with the XC90 less than 4 years ago. It showed us that Volvos could be safe and exciting. And now we have this, the XC40 small SUV from Volvo. And this might be small, but it's making a big statement. Now, Volvo say that the XC40 looks like an SUV, we agree, and that it has some off-road ability. We don't know about that. But what they do say is that it's actually meant to be a good city runabout. And first impression suggests that it is going to be pretty good at that job. Even in the coolest parts of town, the XC40 will fit right in. It's got chunky SUV proportions, mixed with some tough-looking details. And of course, the Volvo cues are plenty. And did I say it looks youthful? Well, it does. So this little Volvo looks sweet. And yet, it is very much an SUV in many ways. The first thing, the seating position, it is quite SUV-like. So you do feel you're sitting above the sedans and the hatches around you. Well, don't be surprised, because the XC40 boasts of a solid 211 millimeters of ground clearance. And it also has all-wheel drive. But in this case, the power is sent primarily to the front wheels. And only when required, like when accelerating hard or over loose and slippery surfaces, is power sent to the rear wheels. But that fits in well with its urban feel. The XC40's city focus becomes quite apparent from the first moment that you get going, and that's because the steering is really quite light. And with radar-backed technology, you can go hands-off. Up to 130 kilometers an hour, hands off the steering wheel, foot off the brake or the accelerator, and you carry on down the motorway. This is better for use on the highway where you can just relax and not have your hands on the wheel, and the car tells you when it wants you to have your hands back on the wheel like it did just now. Now it's cool again. It's sensing, it's reading the road up ahead. I don't have to worry about it. And then when it needs to, it says apply steering. Right now it's steering the car through this slight bend right now. Okay, now back to driving. Really driving. Well, here the XC40 comes with the T5 engine, which means 250 PS of petrol power. What I like about this petrol engine is that it's torquey, and once you're past 2000 RPM, even the slight changes in pedal inputs, it gets going without having to change a gear. While the gearbox could be smoother, the performance was sprightly. But it wasn't the performance from the engine that tickled my fancy. Hear the turbo spooling up, so it kind of depends. If you want your cabin to be very quiet, it's not quite that, but if you like hearing the engine, you will like this. I thought it made the XC40 feel a bit more spirited, and using the drive modes, eco or dynamic, you can change the attitude. But how the XC40 performs on Indian highways and in the cities, well, we'll have to wait and see for that. Now the R design we're driving here comes with a sport chassis. No, it's not air suspension. It's basically stiffer dampers, stiffer springs, stiffer anti-roll bars for a more dynamic experience. So what does it feel like? Now because of the sporty suspension setup, you do feel a bit more of the undulations in the road. But the upside to it is that it doesn't roll around corners. It just makes it feel more tidy. Would you call it sporty? Not quite. The XC40 has a broad footprint to keep things tidy. The track is wider than the competition, and interestingly, it is wider at the back than at the front to get that aggressive stance. Also, it's good to keep in mind that the car that we're driving right now is on 20-inch rims, whereas the one in India is likely to be on 18s as standard. Overall, you'd feel that the XC40 is dialed in towards a more relaxed and leisurely mode of driving. Now, we haven't really encountered bad stretches of road, but even then over the slight bumps or undulations that we've experienced. Even with these 20-inch rims and the stiffer setup, the XC40 hasn't felt harsh or uncomfortable. But 20-inch rims will spell trouble on potholed roads. But we have to admit, they are eye-catching. And that's something that holds true for the insides too. You get lots in terms of features. Obviously, you have that large touchscreen that doubles up as the car's infotainment system and car computer. It also has a 360-degree camera. Undoubtedly, being the smallest car, it also has to meet a cost target, and the XC40 has cut corners somewhere, just a little bit. The cabin experience is still rich, but some places you do feel that it could have been a little bit better in terms of plastics in some areas. And one thing is there, that this car has a 13-speaker Harman Kardon music system, which is great, no doubt. But the Bose and Wilkins system that we've seen on other Volvos is just on another level. But there's lots to appreciate, like the superb supportive seats and the sense of space here. The XC40 has managed to surprise us with the experience in the back. It's got more room than you would think looking at it from the outside. But of course, it has the longest wheelbase, and it shows you've got more knee room than we expected. Headroom is good again, and well, in terms of just sitting three abreast, it might be a little bit of a squeeze because the seat base has been chopped at the corners here so that there's space for storage areas. And that aside, the skinked window line, which looks so cool from the outside, limits visibility just a little bit. But if you have this large panoramic sunroof, I really don't think you can complain about airiness inside the cabin. One thing though that might bother people is that the seat back angle is quite upright. At 460 litres, the boot space of the XC40 isn't the largest in its class, but look at it, it's wide, but it is a little shallow. But it's got a couple of clever touches. The entire boot space includes this under storage here underneath the floor. And well, this folds forward very smartly because when you fold it forward, you can put smaller bags here and they won't move around. And these little stubs double up as baggage hooks. What's interesting though is this storage area under the boot floor will probably be used to store the space saver when the car comes to India. So the Volvo V40 Cross Country will be in India by July 2018. It will be offered with the familiar D4 190 horsepower diesel engine and all-wheel drive at the start. This will be offered in the fully loaded R-Design version, so expect prices to be in the range of 38 to 40 lakh rupees. We really would have loved more time with the XC40 to say with certainty how it would perform in our city conditions back home in India. But right now, even with our limited time with the car, one thing is clear. We're really looking forward to it arriving there. Because this package is bringing in a blend of youthfulness, practicality and luxury that is really quite refreshing and will be something that a lot of people would appreciate.